We are going to another topic. Stay with us because we're joined now by Eoghan Corry from Air & Travel magazine, who joins us now to discuss warnings today from the Chief Medical Officer that air travel still poses a big risk to public health ahead of Christmas. Eoghan, how serious an issue is this likely to be for the airlines and for the airports? Because by the sounds of it, people are not going to be flying home to Ireland for Christmas.
Yes, Matt, Ebeneezer Holohan gave us no hope for Christmas. He said he's not changing advice. He did say if the figures start going in the opposite direction to where they are going now, they're growing all over Europe, the advice may change. The key to this, though, is it is advice. We got a glimpse in public of the advice that's been given to the government behind closed doors. People can still fly for Christmas. The difference is the quarantine will not be removed and we won't be signing up for the traffic light system on the terms that we first thought we would be if Tony Holohan's advice is followed by the government. It now goes back to the politicians to make the decisions.
And is that probably a good thing, given that we've seen the rise of COVID-19 across continental Europe, where they have been allowing flights to take place? We know that a lot of the illness which has come to Britain and to Ireland has come from Spain in particular. So does it not make sense to try and limit the amount of damage that will be done by allowing flights into the country?
Very interesting that he's never said that travel is a major source of infection, that what you've just said about it coming from Spain just isn't true. It's still a very, very small proportion of the cases, less than 2%. That's an international pattern. Ours is very, very similar to the international pattern. What also he said was when the cases were low, it was a very high proportion of infections. It could be up to 25% when our community transmission was down to a low level, and now it's high. He doesn't want international travel either. The problem with international travel is you cannot give a guarantee it won't import infections. But what ECDC and EASA have been saying is the number of infections that are imported is very, very small. A good example would be the super spreader on a flight on June the 27th, which spread to 56 people, was held up at the time. It was mentioned again today. It came up in headlines last week. It's one of the standout cases, but the fact that there are so few standout cases shows what international travel is doing. It's monitoring the people who travel. The real problem here is the huge disconnect, Matt. As you say, Irish people coming home from England, that was a big historic thing in Ireland. The Ireland that we live in today is very different. The one you and I grew up in, 17% of us were born abroad. A lot of people in Eastern Europe in particular are now faced with, if they go to connect with their family at Christmas, they will have to face the 14-day quarantine. From what Tony Holohan said this morning, that's not changing soon.
Eoghan Corry, thank you very much for joining us. Peter Burke, are we heading towards a position